All right, good morning, everybody. It's Mark over at EnviroGuard, and happy Friday. We came into this just like we were prepared and then the cameras weren't working, so I'm going to gather myself right now. All right, today we're going to talk about a new product, but we're really going to talk about a process. And I've got a setup going on that I'm going to walk you through. Let me know if I go off camera or anything like that. Okay, so we've got products up here, we've got safety equipment, and we've got tools, okay? And we are going to be talking about the Primera system today because it's such an effective tool for wipe downs of hard surfaces, and we're going to use this surface, just a wall, in our place to talk about this. So let's introduce the topic first. We're going to have a recipe card on this that comes out later today. I think, Grace, you're going to post it to social media, right? So you can hit Instagram, Facebook, those sorts of things for it. And then we'll talk about a couple of other ideas maybe where we can post as well. So we're going to have this recipe card coming out. And what's the title of today, Grace?
It is. Let's see.
I know we had it on the recipe card.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically cleaning and removing odor on
painted surfaces.
Painted surfaces. Thank you so much. Okay, so painted surfaces. Now, it doesn't just have to be painted surfaces, but we were thinking about that because oftentimes we're confronted in a fire damage job or in a smoke job, which are related to one another, or let's talk about like tobacco and things like that, of buildup on the surface, right? So we could be talking about soot, we could be talking about nicotine. No matter what we're talking about today, then we're going to be talking about oily soil loads. Okay, so let's base that up. Let's base today on oily soil loads and removing them from surfaces with that focus on fire damage jobs, maybe jobs that involve curry. That would be a good example of an oily soil load as well. And then certainly nicotine and things like that. Okay, so let's use that as our backdrop. Now, when we go into an odor job like that, we're thinking about the soil load, we're thinking about the odor, and we're thinking about, because this keeps coming up more and more, returning a property to, let's just call it pre-loss condition in this world of restoration, where the customer comes back and is really happy with the results, okay? So let's use that as our backdrop, and what I want to do, I've got a little, let's see, I'm going to throw this over here. And then if at all you want to switch back and forth on cameras or anything like that, or if you want me to switch back and forth on cameras, let me know.
You'll have to.
What's that?
You'll have to.
Okay. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen here. I've got slides. Present, share screen, and let me know if that works. Okay? And I'm going to turn off that one right there.
Cool.
Okay, so now they're just seeing me right here.
Yep.
Okay.
And your screen.
Cool. All right. So first things first, we do have a brand new website that came up this week. Okay. There's a little bit of work that we need to do to this, probably in terms of little content that we want to massage. Definitely in terms of how it looks on the mobile side of things. But we will be working on that day by day. But this has consumed us for the past 4 weeks. So if you get a chance, go to our website. It's just at EnviroGuardDirect.com as always. Check it out and play with it, right? And give us your feedback. I saw that we already got a little bit of feedback and some suggestions this morning, but we're looking for your feedback. Our philosophy here is perfection is the enemy of progress. So we wanted to go ahead and launch it and have a better site for everybody to use, and then begin making a couple little changes on the backside. So that's EnviroGuardDirect.com. And by the way, sign up as a member on there, and let's start testing all the member features as well. It's going to be, oh my gosh, once we get all this automated, it's going to be awesome. So I won't promote that anymore. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk about safety first. I don't have enough screens here, Grace.
Only 2?
Yeah, no, I need like a third. Okay. Since we're dealing with chlorine dioxide, and I should say anytime we're dealing with chlorine dioxide, let's focus on safety first, right? Even though for today we're going to be talking about, at least what I've got here, using a 400 part per million solution. A multi-gas, multi-vapor cartridge is recommended whenever you're using chlorine dioxide. Okay, so I want to say that first and foremost. And if you need these, just have us send them to you at the same time we're sending you your other products anyway. We've got them in stock. So whatever you need when it comes to safety, think of EnviroGuard for your safety needs. And what I would say about this is, for what we're doing here, a half-face respirator is fine. But make sure if you use the multi-gas, multi-vapor, then no matter what we need in our solution, be it 400 parts per million for light odors, 800 parts per million for medium odors, or 1,200 parts per million for heavy odors on the surface, you're going to be covered if you have this as your cartridge. All right. Second thing is your goggles. Have a decent goggle, right? Have a goggle, and I don't know if you can see this, but have a goggle that really conforms to your face, just so that if there's any splashing or anything like that, you don't get anything, nobody gets anything in their eyes, right? We just want to, protect everybody. And then the third thing is have some nitrile gloves. As you know, my preference is for a long glove, okay? And this is just in case somebody ends up handling chemicals or is just chemically sensitive in general, okay? So nitrile gloves, goggles, half-face respirator, once you begin making your solutions, okay? So that's safety. Hopefully we've got that out of the way and we're good to go. Now, let me introduce the tools that we're going to be working with today. Take this stuff off so I don't look like an alien on camera. All right, so first thing we're going to be talking about is the Primera tool. Now, if you know anything about Primera, you've heard me talk about this before, this is what gives you reach, okay? It's what, for example, will allow me, if I need to clean areas that are high up like this without having to use ladders, right? And this is a short zero gravity handle. So that gives you an idea, because that's at least 10 foot right there, okay? So that is the short handle. The long handle can get up to 100 inches or 105 inches long in length. Now, outside of just the handle itself, let me just reach down and grab this for you so you can see. I've got an autoclavable bucket, okay? This autoclavable bucket has a ringer in it. You can hear the water in there right now. It has a ringer in it. So if you're using a pad versus just a microfiber, then you can ring that pad on that ringer, okay? And then, let me just make sure I've got everything, all my bases covered here. Speaking of the pads, here, let's go at the top. Here is a mop pad, okay? And we sell these as complete kits so that you can get an autoclavable bucket, a zero gravity handle, your mop pads, and I forget, 2 to 4 bags of these microfibers all in one kit. All right. So that's the first thing we want to introduce. The second thing is we're going to be talking about the heavy-duty pump sprayer. We're going to talk about when to use these and when not to use them. I want to show you more so when and when not to use them based upon the type of paint on the walls, because we could be dealing with a very flat paint, we could be dealing with a gloss paint, and anything in between, like an eggshell and things like that. And so, as you know, I'm a big proponent of testing for that reason, so that you know from the standpoint of when you do your initial inspection, all the way through doing the job and your estimate and getting paid for that job, that everything is in line and that there's nothing, no questions left on the table. So that's what we're getting at through this entire process today. All right, heavy-duty pump sprayer and tip size is going to come into what we talk about, and I want to make sure that we're talking about misting tips all the way through spray tips. If you've got big jobs, the same thing could apply with a BTM sprayer, right? Because tip control is very important. Dispensing pumps for gallons. Because we're going to be talking about the use of products in the range of 2 ounces, you probably don't want to have glass beakers on the job, right? You probably want to have a dispenser just like this, that for every stroke, you get an ounce out of it, okay? So keep in mind that if you need to be accurate, which I would suggest in dispensing your product, just request pump dispensers when you're placing your order with us, and we'll send them with your order, okay? And if we don't have them on the site right now, which I know we don't, maybe what we can do is create a page just for the pump dispenser and then create a link from every product that would benefit from it, like Grease Gobbler, Code Orange, all those sorts of things, Sorb Assist, etc. All right, so I feel like I'm spinning right here. The other thing that you might want to have is a funnel, okay? Because if we're filling a pump dispenser and we're going directly into that with Code Orange or anything else, then you're going to want to have a funnel just to prevent messes and that sort of thing. So just FYI on some tools that we're going to be working with today. I've got everything kind of pre-proportioned, right? So it just comes together very quickly for us. All right, now let's talk about the products. We're going to be talking about 3 products here. Deutrion, right? And the Deutrion that I've got for you today is just going to help us make gallons very quickly, right? So if we're going to do 400 parts per million, honestly, this is going to give us 500 parts per million in a gallon of water. I've got a gallon of water there. This one's already been made. I've got a gallon of water here, okay? But this is a prepared solution. So a gallon of water in here. And what I'm going to start out by doing is making a 400 part per million solution. So let's imagine that we have, and this was going on in Asheville last week, which is what kind of helped inspire this episode today. They had light soot, light odor from a fire damage in the kitchen. And so they needed to do a complete wipe down of the home. And so what we start with in a light odor situation is a 400, and in this case, for convenience, a 500 part per million solution. So all that I'm going to do, we're right in our packaging here. There's your tablet. Can they see that all right? Okay. We're just going to add this tablet, 20-gram tablet, to the water. Okay. Now that tablet, is there a way, I'm going to pick this up and just show the camera. And let me know when you can see that. Okay, so what you're going to notice with that, let's do this. If I put this on the ground, and can you pitch it down so they can see it dissolving?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you stop that screen share so it's bigger? And then yes.
Stop what screen share?
From your laptop.
Okay, let me find the thing.
Because then it's full screen for them.
And which one am I removing? That one right there?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. All right. So now you're at the entrance of our place, by the way. What you're seeing is the 20-gram tab dissolving right there. Okay. So that automatically dissolves for you. That automatically dissolves for you. So you don't have to worry about like mixing or anything like that. It's just going to dissolve in a couple minutes and you'll have your Deutrion solution. Now, there's 2 other things that we want to think about when it comes to cleaning walls, because Deutrion is an odor mitigant and a disinfectant, right? We're preparing a 500 part per million solution right there. So that's just our odor mitigant and disinfectant. Now, if we need it to clean for us, and by the way, when we're dealing with something like this, you want what's called wall glide. Okay? In other words, if we were just to go to the wall with that solution without any surfactants in it, not only would it not clean well, but it would also not glide well over the surface. So because I've already used this one and I've got some buildup on it, I'm going to cast this aside. And let's go ahead and get a fresh, clean one here. All right, so there we go. All right, so now we've got a fresh, clean microfiber on here. And now I'm going to add a cleaning agent to that. And in this case, I've got 2 ounces going into a gallon of 500 part per million Deutrion, right? That's giving me 500 parts per million of chlorine dioxide, and I want to clean well. So Code Orange is our new product for removing soot and oily soil okay? And I'm sure over time, we're going to talk about all kinds of oily soil be they petroleum-based, cooking, nicotine and tar buildup. All of that is oily, but so is soot. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into this solution with 2 ounces into a gallon of water. And now we've got a solution that will clean, disinfect, and deodorize all at one time, right? We just added 2 ounces in there. The reason for 2 ounces is it's going to give us the wall glide that we're looking for. And in addition to that, it's going to give us the penetration of any soil load on the surface, okay? So if you have that buildup there, it's going to emulsify it and allow you to clean that wall really well. Now, what I've got here also, this is 2 ounces of sorbices. Some people call this smell good, right? So I'm going to add 2 ounces of sorbices to solution as well, because as we know, sorbices mitigates the odor of chlorine dioxide, right? So 2 ounces per gallon into solution, and we're good to go. All right? So there's our solution. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my mop head right here to just give myself a little bit of agitation, okay? And as you can see, you've got the customary yellowish, that tablet's just about dissolved. You've got the customary yellowish solution that you would normally see with a chlorine dioxide solution. Now, I've got my ringer here for a reason. This ringer, what I don't want to do is create, a mess or something like that, on the floors and that sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my ringer right there to get what I can out of the solution. And I want you to see me go to the wall with this, and then I'm going to show you one other thing. So here we've got a flat paint, okay? You want to move that over, and I'll move myself over. How's that? Are we pointing toward this wall here? We're good? Okay. So here we've got a flat paint. I'm going to go to the surface with this flat paint, and I'm just going to extend this all the way. And I'm going to just clean the wall right here. Okay. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to move around, clean this wall right here, remove anything that is on that wall, including at the baseboard level here. Back up. All right, now, honestly, this wall is already clean, by the way, because we were testing, of course, before we got on camera today. So as you would expect, there's not much in the way of soil load on that surface. But I wanted you to see what that solution looks like if we're applying it to the surface. Now, here's the other option. And let me go ahead and move this one out of the way. Okay, the other option is the pump sprayer. Now, granted, I've already pre-wet that wall. And this solution is ready to use. Just give it some pressure here. All right, now what I'm going to do is just apply this solution directly to the wall. Okay. So there's our same solution. And generally, what we want to see is a dwell time of up to a minute, right, if we're applying the solution to the wall. But as you can see here, it's already dry, okay? Or at least it's, it looks dry, right? We don't have any solution on that to pull the soil load to the surface, all right? So that hurts our ability to clean that wall. So in a case where you have a flat paint like that, you probably want to use this solution, right? Let's just call it the Deuterion solution or the Deuterion recipe. You probably want to use it with a Primera mop so that as you apply and as you're wiping with this, you're removing that soil load. If we had a surface that was what do you call it? I said like an eggshell, or something that has even more shine to it, right? A higher resin level, then we might be fine to apply the solution, then come back behind and wipe it. In fact, I think that all the paint in the house I'm thinking about last week was eggshell, and one technician applied the product to the surface first, and another one was doing the wipe down after about a minute's dwell time with the Primera system, okay? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody, and before I have any sort of slip and fall, I'm gonna clean up my area right here for me. I'll bet I got some soil lid on there now. Yeah, I do. Okay, so let me just make sure I'm on track here with our talking points. All right, so we've talked about some tools in lieu of our procedure, what we're trying to accomplish, which is cleaning walls, ceilings, even floors with a solution that allows us to remove odor, allows us to clean, and provides a atmosphere, for lack of a better term, that your customer comes back to and they love what they smell, right? It smells clean. So we've walked through the products. Let's talk about dilutions and dwell times. So once again, if we're dealing with a light odor, like I was dealing with last week, 400 part per million solution is perfect for that, right? So I would just say 1 20-gram tab into a gallon of water, or 4, to be precise, actually 4 4-gram tabs for 16 grams is going to give you that 400 parts per million per gallon, 400 to 500 parts per million per gallon. Then if we go to a medium odor, and the way I would distinguish it is this: a light odor. When I walked into that house, I had to smell for it, right? I walked into this house, and they had been running air scrubbers and all these sorts of things, and I had to smell for the smoke odor. Whereas if I walked in and I smelled it immediately, to me, that's like a medium odor, right? So there's a discernment there between those two. And then a heavy odor, I walk into the house and the odor punches me in the face, okay? 400 parts per million for your light odor, 800 parts per million for your medium, and 1,200 parts per million for your heavy odor. On top of that, then, now we're just modifying the formula with the performance you're looking for, right? Such as oily soil loads. Code Orange is where we're going to go for those. So think of this as your wall wash for fire damaged properties, properties that have smoke damage from smoking, et cetera, et cetera. We've already talked about all that, right? So here's your Code Orange, brand new product on the website. And then this is going to be your neutralizer for any chlorine dioxide odor, and it's going to leave that property smelling great afterward, okay? So those are the only 3 products that we're concerned about today, or when we're dealing with these situations in general. Dwell times on all of them are going to be in that 30 to 60 second dwell time if you're spray applying to the surface. If you're applying, like we were here, directly to the surface, then there's really no dwell time, right? Your saturation of the surface is coming by way of the microfiber mop head on your Primera system. Okay. Let's talk about a little bit of best practices here. ID labels. Let me grab something. So as everyone knows, at least if you've heard me talking quite a bit before about inspections and things like that, we're really big into testing, right? Testing during the inspection period to make sure that everything that translates to the estimate, everything that translates to the work order is determined right up front. But the reason I'm showing this is that ID labels for each product is a big deal, right? So whether you have that label on your pump sprayers, on something like a quart trigger sprayer, or any other device, any other, what would you call that, container, right, that you're using, Make sure you have ID labels. We've got ID labels for just about everything, right? Here's an ID label for Oxypar, for example. Here's an ID label for OxyPrep. This prevents confusion in the field and allows you to dial in your procedures very quickly and determine exactly what your protocol is going to be. So we're actually going to be creating a whole little kit here for inspections that's going to fall right into the whole sales process, right? The set sales process. Okay, so ID labels. If you need them, just let us know when you're placing your order, and we'll include them with your order. So when you have them, you've got labels to put on everything. They are chemically resistant, right? So you won't have to worry about them running and that sort of thing. We're happy to provide them. We've already talked about spray versus mop applications, but I want to reiterate when and where you will use those. If you've got a flat paint surface, definitely go with a mop application from the get-go. If you've got anything then from eggshell up to a gloss, you're probably good with a spray and wipe application. When you're taking your chlorine dioxide levels up from 400 to 800 and 1200, you may find it's important to adjust your sorbicist, because sorbicist is meant to really smell good afterward to neutralize that odor. So you may find that for your 400 parts per million, you need 1 to 2 ounces of sorbicist, where maybe when you go from 400 parts per million to 800, maybe you go 2 to 3 ounces, and maybe 3 to 4 ounces when you get into that 1200 part per million solution. So just be aware of that, and that you might want to make that adjustment so you get a complete neutralization of that odor. And one other thing. So I want to amend something I said last week, and we were talking about chlorine dioxide and Deuterion and vapor treatments. And I think I made a comment of, that there's a residue-free application. And for the most part, that's true. However, there is a small amount of salt that is produced by virtue of that vapor treatment. And if it gets airborne, then you will have a very, very light salt residue. And that salt residue can account for the property smelling pool-like after the fact, okay? So if within your entire procedure, right, your sales process, as you are initially interviewing the customer, and then you clarify what services they want to focus on for today's visit, and then you move that into creating an accomplished list and then beyond. One of the things you might want to think about is any wipe down surfaces coming after your vapor treatment services. I always have a problem with that, services, after your vapor treatment services. That way, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, right? You're getting all the cleaning done that you need to do, but if there is any salt residue anywhere, then you're also wiping that up at the same time, and then you're sure to have a very happy customer when they come back into the room. The way we ran last week's job in Asheville is that we did all the wipe downs first, then we did the vapor treatment afterward, and we think that we've got just a small residue on that surface that contributed then to smelling that pool-like smell from chlorine dioxide afterwards, even though they did a light fogging of that with sorbicist. They're actually going to do a heavier fogging and really focus on textiles and things like that in the home. Hopefully we've got a very happy customer after that, but that led us to this week saying, if you are going to do a wipe down service after your vapor treatment, or if you're going to do a vapor treatment, make sure your wipe down service follows your vapor treatment. Okay, so now let's talk about this in lieu of the overall sales process. Because again, the sales process is not only meant to drive confidence with your customer, where they understand that your greatest concern is serving them, right? That's what the interview is all about, and nailing down the information in the interview. But it's also meant to differentiate you from competition. It's also meant to help you not overpromise and underdeliver on a single service, or underprice yourself on a single service, right? because a lot of people would love to think that for odor, you could do a vapor treatment and be done with it. But we know because of soil load buildup and accumulation, that's just not true. So when it comes to going from the interview and then we want to create clarity, the questions on clarity are going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead back to, let's see, Grace, I need to grab my screen here. Am I okay to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Hide this. And I'm going to add the stream. Okay. So let's go into our work drive folder here. And let's go into, let's see. We want the odor, not the odor inspection, what was it, the odor assessment?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and bring up the odor assessment guide. And I'll probably just zoom in on this. Let me know how viewable it is from their standpoint.
Looks good.
Looks good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So remember, the second step in this is asking questions like, you know what, what happens if I bring myself into the stream over here? Can I do that?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. So this is going to be questions like, if airborne odor sources and volatile organic compounds are found, is air cleaning and deodorization important today? If odor sources are found within your HVAC system, is duct cleaning and deodorization important today? If odor sources are found coming from hard floors, ceilings, and walls, is hard surface cleaning and deodorization important today? Et cetera, right? We get into textiles and all of these other things. Let me go ahead and remove, I'll remove that one. I'll turn back to the camera here. Okay, so in clarity, we're figuring out what all services your customer wants for the purpose of cleaning and removing odor from their home, whatever, their commercial property, whatever it might be. Once we've got that nailed down, now we can create the accomplishes list, which is your customers' list of all the services that they want to move forward with, and then we go do the inspection, right? And then it's during that inspection that we're gathering all of this information about the procedures that are going to be required in order to fulfill that accomplished list. And if we have the ability to test in some small scale way for those procedures and confirm for us that those procedures are true, which is why you see us getting into things like mold severity index, so we can index different soil load levels, such as soot severity index, right? If we can create those indexes and associate those with a procedure, you know that what you're recommending is right to the customer when you come back, and then you go into step 5 of educate, and you know that before you get to estimate, step 6 of the sales process, that you're accurate, and then all that information gets passed off to your technical team to execute the protocol, and you're on budget, you're profitable, and your customer gets the results that they're looking for, all because you've got a defined sales process, right? So I think that kind of really wraps it up for today. If you have questions on any of this stuff, please feel free to give us a call here at 828-548-3900. We are happy to answer your questions. If you want an invitation to things like work drives so that you have all of our forms, just send us an email at support@enviroguarddirect.com. We'll be happy to make you a member of that system there as documents begin to come up on the website. And go check us out at enviroguarddirect.com. Give us your feedback on the new website. Let us know how you like the new cart system. That is going to be automated later on for payment, by the way. It's complex when you're dealing with shippers, especially on the LTL side of things, but that will be automated soon. For now, go ahead and become a member of that website and let us know what you think. So I don't have an announcement for next Friday yet. We've got a couple ideas percolating for the live stream next week, but we will see you next Friday. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. Take